Hola, let's start out standing today. Um, Set up in your best version of you, feet about hip width apart, standing with your weight over your heels, and pushing down into your heels to give you the more natural anti-gravity lift through the rest of your body. Let's tune into your breath. First, just observing it. So I'm going to have you take a nice big inhale through your nose, feeling that expansive quality. And then exhale like you're blowing out through a straw so we get that nice, slow, controlled blowing out of the air. When you breathe in, you want to drink that air deep into your rib cage so you can feel that sense of expansion and the diaphragm's allowed to move. And then when you exhale, notice how your ribs gather together to help you blow that air out. Now I'm going to start moving the arms a little. As you breathe in, I want you to open the arms, bring a little tone into them, let your chest lift. And then when you exhale, feel your chest sink and let your arms come down. And just let the arms be a representation. So this is like your ribs expanding, and this is like your ribs coming back in. We're going to make it a little bigger every time, really opening up on the inhale, and then softening, letting those knees bend a little bit now. I'm so big and full, and then I'm just going to deflate and release. Let that being big feel energetic. And then when you blow something out, blow out the tension. Get rid of any feeling you don't need in your body. One more time, nice big inhale. And then a release with that exhale breath. Now, before we go down onto the mat, I want to just do a little more movement with your arms. So start to draw, if you want to think of these as figure eights or infinity signs. But with that sense, like this quality of movement always makes me feel like the idea of like spreading butter on bread. So I'm just smoothly scooping back and forth. Can we reverse it? Can I reverse it? Yes, yes I can. And just nice and circular. You can see like the elbows and the wrists keep a slightly loose quality so you can get those nice rounded edges. And let's do 3 and 2 and 1. All right. Let's go down to the mat. I'm going to have you right down onto your back. Let's bring your arms down by your sides and we'll go right into a set of undulating hip rolls. Start out in neutral, so you're just a little curve present under your low back. Let's start to roll up, and the first thing you'll do with that pelvic tilt is flatten your low back in order to let you lift your hips and peel your spine off the mat. Once you get to your bridge, on the way down, we're going to stay neutral and just hinge at the hips. So you're going to exhale, articulate a vertebra at a time off the mat, then keep your tone come straight down. Exhale, roll off. Now I want to push the knees towards the toes and lower back down, curling to lift. Inhale to drop. Just one more time. Roll up and then ease yourself down. Let's go the other way. Push your hips up and then roll down through the ribs, then low back and hips, and allow that arch to come into your low back. Squeeze your glutes and hamstrings to lift. Inhale into your back as you roll down. When you arrive at the top, we're lifting from here. There shouldn't be any tension in your back. And if you're noticing it, just come down a little lower or take a little pressure out of your arms. Also will help quite a bit. One more time. Exhale up and then inhale to roll back down. Now reach your arms up to the ceiling, protracting and retracting your shoulder blades. I want you to try to keep your arms about as wide as your shoulders. And like one of my favorite cues that anyone ever taught me was like a long, the paper towel roll lengthwise, you're just pushing your hands into the end. That's a decent guide to imagine holding something. When you breathe in, you're going to lift your arms up a little higher towards the ceiling so your shoulder blades spread apart. When you exhale, you're going to draw your shoulder blades together till they're flat against the mat again. Now, this movement's always small. It's about sensing to make sure your shoulder blades are contributing enough, the appropriate amount, to any shoulder movement you're doing. So when you observe your arm moving up and down like a sawing action, make sure it's initiated from that gliding of the blades back and forth. Just one more time. Reaching up and drawing it back down. Now leave those arms there. Let's go to a set of toe taps. Rock into imprint, so you do a small pelvic tilt so your low back's a little flatter, but not smushed into the mat. Now, challenge yourself to stay just like that. Lift one leg to tabletop when you inhale. That could cause a rotation, so we're fighting left to right. Now, when you exhale, lift up that second leg and make sure your breath is helping you maintain that imprinted position. Now, do one more breath in. When you exhale, lower one leg and tap your toes on the mat, and then breathe in to lift your leg back up. And as you go back and forth, I want you to sense how to do this exercise correctly. You have to pay attention to the alignment of your bones, as well as the quality of the muscle contracting. So as you're lowering your leg, the leg muscles are working as they get longer. So those are your hip flexors, and then they're shortening to pick the leg back up. But the leg bones, the weight of your leg, is the weight. It's the resistance. So you're also making contraction at your abs, pulling your hips and ribs together, holding your hips still to let your leg drop without moving the pelvis. One more to each side. Exhale, tap down. Inhale, lift. And last one. Now there's going to be a second exercise. So when you get that leg up, make sure you're still in imprint. Now we're going to keep your legs still. And I want you to reach your arms overhead when you exhale, only as far as you can move them without the lower part of the ribs popping up. Inhale, lift your arms over your chest. As you reach overhead, so sometimes the useful cue on this one is like a seatbelt's tightening around the bottom of your ribs, and then back up. And imagine that like closing in more narrow and narrow the more you're reaching those arms. And then bone versus muscle again. So now the arm is the weight, and your attention is on your abs pulling the ribs away from the arm. One more time. Exhale, send it overhead. And inhale as you return. All right, arms still up. Lower your feet back down. If we go back to that shoulder blade isolation, I want you to start it again. But now it's going to just be one arm and then the other, so we get the reciprocal motion. Actually, and for me, this is where that paper towel cue is actually most important. Now you have to imagine that paper towel roll like floating between your hands so that they don't narrow more than that as you switch back and forth. Okay, so if you got the flow of that, when you make this motion bigger, so the arm movement pulls your shoulder blade, and if you keep reaching, it'll start to pull your ribs, start to pull your body, so you have to lift your head and then come back down. So let's try that. So the arm goes, shoulder blade glides, that starts to pull the ribs into a rotation, and if I want to keep going, I have to follow it. And then arms. So when we try an ab prep in a second, this is like harder than an ab prep probably. But when we do this and you're back to both shoulder blades moving together, they have to protract a little bit to let you flex your spine. Let's do 3 more. Lifting. Try to look to the side so that your gaze is following where you're being pulled. And up, and then back down. All right, go ahead and take your hands behind your head. Now, sense your shoulder blades again, so they're flat on the mat right now. You can angle your elbows forward a little bit so your arms look like they're making a hammock for your head. And you should be able to do that without moving your shoulder blades right now, right? Like you could still kind of anchor, and if you haven't, go ahead and anchor those down so they feel flat. Check in on those ribs again, too. Sometimes smushing your shoulder blades pops your ribs, and you need to find that sweet spot where both things are going on together. All right, so let's sense what happens in an ab prep. You're going to nod your chin slightly and then curl up your head and shoulders when you exhale. So as I'm flexing this part of the spine, it's helpful if my shoulder blades will spread apart slightly, and then I'm going to lower back down until I'm flat. So what I'm attempting to do is to keep the same angle of the elbows, but reach the points forward like I was doing with my arms to spread the blades apart. And then as I come back down, let the blades glide together. Nod your chin. And I always describe these things very dramatically, but your challenge is actually to do something small and not dramatic. Just observe how much you need that spread to help the spine bend and lower back down. Okay, can we add some pulses to this? Nod your chin, curl up your head and shoulders, and just set the top of the move. Let's try 5 pulses. You're going to rock back by a rib or 2, then lift up. And I want you to keep exploring what the shoulder blades feel like. So I'm noticing as I curl forward, where my breastbone is, that part of me is pushing backwards. And that's also encouraging the spread of the blades. Do one more, except I don't remember if that's 5 or I might have done 6. I'm sorry, come all the way down. just so deep in that thought. Let's focus on that again. Nod your chin slightly, curl up. The nodding your chin helps make sure your neck's at the right angle and you're looking at your legs. Now, rock back a little. Let your arms support your head. And then flex forward. And again, elbow points, reaching just a little bit. Rock back, curl up, allow that spread. Rock back. Try to keep your pelvis still, pubic bone nice and heavy, and curl back up. One more time. Rock back, curl up, and then come all the way down. One more set. Inhale there. Exhale, nod your chin, flex it up. Let's go a little zippier. Rock it back for 5. Lift. 4. Keep checking that pelvis. Make sure it stays still. The quicker one might be more challenging. One more time, and then take it all the way back down. All right, let's flip over. All right. So if the shoulder blades spreading apart helps you flex forward, I bet you pulling the shoulder blades together might help you bend backwards. Make a W with your arms. Elbows tucked in, hands out a little bit wider, legs parallel. They can be together or slightly separated. Okay, so can you move the shoulder blades here? Feel that. I can pinch them. I can flop them. I can pinch them. It's not a real exercise, but the mobility is available. So now let's make the right amount to help the extension. First, when you breathe in, reach the crown of your head away from your toes so you feel nice and long. When you start your lift, use your gaze. So we want to look towards the end of the mat. That's the next contribution. Now push away with your forearms and feel your shoulder blades coming back and slightly down to press your heart forward and up. Stay here for a breath in. When you exhale, keep anchoring your pubic bone down, engage your abs, and lay out flat. Breathe in at the bottom, reach your head away from your toes. Exhale, compress your abs and start to lift up. We want to keep as much work as possible out of your low back, and so if you feel very tense there, try pushing down on your pubic bone just a tiny bit, and as you inhale, reach your hair away from your pubic bone so you're just getting taller again, and then exhale, lower back down. One more time like that. Breathe in at the bottom, and then exhale, start to lift up. Feel the relationship of the blades to your collarbones. When they pull back, it opens your chest a little wider. Inhale, breath to stay here, and then lower back down. Now let's add a small side bend. So go ahead and prop yourself up, maybe halfway or 3/4 of the way from where you were. Now when we add the arm reaching, so we're going to go across, like you're drawing half a rainbow to the opposite side of the mat. And then you're going to come back down to the W, upper body stays lifted. And we're just going to switch back and forth. That's your inhale, exhale back to the middle. So now if we want to keep talking shoulder blades, I didn't mean that to be the whole thing I talked about today, but here we are. Now we're helping your shoulders quite a bit because this reaching action encourages the shoulder blades to rotate up and down. And that rotation up and down is really what gives us the range of motion to reach overhead. Because when the shoulder blade moves, it's changing the angle the socket of the ball and socket is at. And the more it turns up, the higher you can reach from the arm. This is your last one. Come back to center, lower back down. We're going to go into a full breaststroke because that'll make your shoulder blades do all the things. All right, so you're going to begin in a hover. So we've got that initial tone, that elongation of reaching your head away from your toes. When you exhale, compress your abs to support you staying here and reach your arms overhead to increase the load. Then inhale, circle your arms to your hips and lift your head and chest into the higher height of that extension. Pull your abs in, drop down low, reach through your arms. And when you circle your arms, you want to keep at least 1 or 2 ribs on the mat as your anchor. Exhale, that's your great feedback that you haven't lifted too high. Inhale, circle, open the chest. Exhale, pull it in, get nice and low. Inhale, circle, lift. One more time. Exhale, drop down, reaching through the arms. Inhale, up, and then all the way back down. All right, from here, sit back into a shell stretch. While you're there, take a nice big inhale, filling up the back of your ribs with that air. Hold here for an exhale breath, pulling the belly in a little deeper to release your back. Take one more breath in, and then you can roll up to sitting. All right, let's go into a kneeling position on your hands and knees. Okay, so just for a sense of just familiar things from other workouts, we always have this like hinge movement where you're shifting your weight forward and back between your arms and your legs. You're going to play with that a little bit, but this is going to be an exercise for your hips. So I'm going to have you start out picking up one foot but leaving the knee down. And you're going to just feel out if you turn your foot out, which would be the same as turning your leg in at the thigh. Do a range of motion to just kind of feel what you have available to you. Then you're going to turn back in. I'm going to have you pick up the same foot and bring it out to the side, and then you're going to sit your weight back. So here, turning it out, now we've got external rotation of the leg, and I want you to try to keep your back flat. Like if you tuck, we diminish some of this. So I'm going to shift back to my hands so I can move the leg. I turn, return. I'm going to step it out, and then I'm going to shift back. So you see, I don't go very far, and I get something right away. Let's do two more. So I'm going to turn out and in. Step the leg out, shift back and forward. There, I talked about something that was in your shoulders today. Look at me. All right, pick up your other foot. Medially rotate. So foot turns out as my thigh turns in. Return, step it out to the side, shift your weight back. Now, we all have different flexibilities. We're going to turn. But when you step that foot wide, you want it rotated out at an angle you can keep your foot flat. Oh, I'm glad you're seeing this side, especially the clothes I'm wearing. I'm sorry I'm in such a baggy shirt, but I actually think it's helpful right now. But you can see I was a little rounding down. So you have to kind of actively push your butt up and back to get it. And again, turning out and in and then up and back. Let's go for one more time. Turning out, turning in, stepping out, and hinging back. All right, back down on all fours. Cat stretch, but only on one arm and one leg. So I'm going to have you start, pick up one arm, opposite knee, and I want you to bring them together underneath you to flex your spine. And then you're going to reach them away towards opposite walls as you come into an extended spine. So the flexion is going to be less than you expect, but still push hard to get round from the arm and leg. And then your extension's also going to be more gentle. And I want you to use your gaze to guide you. You're going to lift your chest and try to see your fingertips. Tuck in. Reach away. I feel like my hand's posing like, look at my engagement ring. I don't have one, but I'm giving those vibes. One more time. Curl. Like I'm just admiring myself. That's the angle I want. Okay. I need like a big, what are those called? Like a ring pop. I need something more dramatic than an engagement ring. Okay, tucking under. Elbow in, knee in, flex spine. Reach away and gaze towards that beautiful hand. Tuck in as you exhale, pushing away from the floor, from that midsection. That part drops, your heart lifts when you extend. Exhale, flex it in. Inhale to reach away. Two more times, curling. And inhale to open. Exhale, flex. And inhale, reach. And then lower back down. All right, down onto the mat, onto your side again. Start with your legs in tabletop. We're going to circle your top arm through spinal rotation 3 times. So the arm will start reaching forward. When you breathe in, lift your top arm by your ear, and then start to rotate your spine and open your chest. When you exhale, you're going to come around to your hip and down. Let's do it again. So your palms on its own, without me saying it's probably going to turn up, but if it hasn't, make sure you do it, and then turn the palm back down around to the front. Let's do this as 4. I said 3. That was silly of me. And one more time. And then around. Okay, put your top hand on the mat for a second. I'm going to have you leave your bottom leg bent, but you're just going to pull it back a little bit. Take your top leg out straight at hip height. And now when you breathe in, you're going to swing your leg forward 2 pulses with your foot flexed. Point your toes, kick your leg back. Try to keep it at the same height and parallel. Inhale, inhale. Exhale, point and reach back. Pushing out through your heel should give you a better hamstring stretch on the front kick. And when you're kicking backwards, use your exhale to tighten your abs and hold your hips still so we could open the front of this joint. Inhale, inhale, exhale, sweep back the leg, and kicking 1, 2, and exhale, pull back. Last 2. Reach, reach, exhale, pull back the leg, and inhale, inhale, exhale, reach back. All right, let's go to your other side. I have this bad habit of starting these videos 10 minutes later than I'm supposed to for my schedule, which I definitely did today and then some. I'm like banking on my next client coming a couple minutes late and banking on the fact that he's not going to watch this video because he'll know who he is and that I'm telling him right now that he's always late. Okay, here we go. On your inhale, bring your arm by your ear. Start to rotate your upper body. Exhale around your hips and forward. Although that's like a great private joke with myself, not that client. I make these videos for my real clients, and my real clients rarely watch them. But I need like someone as an inspiration. So even though they come to me so they don't think they need to do YouTube videos, I still make them for them. Around to the front. And we all benefit from it. All right, top hand goes there. Wiggle both those feet back. All right, so we got that clamshell angle. And then you're going to take your top leg out to hip height. Foot flexed, leg parallel, abs connected. Inhale, swing forward for 2 counts. Exhale, point and reach back. Have I said abs enough today? I felt like this was not a very Pilates-ish workout in my verbs. I didn't say, yeah. I guess I talked about your abs a little. That's all right. We don't have to erase this whole workout. And inhale, inhale. Focus on the height. It's a great way to build endurance in your outer hip muscles, which will help contribute to your ability to balance on one leg. One more time. Inhale, inhale, exhale, sweep it back. Speaking of your abs, let's do a roll-up so I can feel better about that. All right, which means I'm wearing this big baggy shirt because I just have not done great with my pants lately being exposed, so hopefully this one's long enough. Let's find out. All right, legs out straight, feet flexed, together or slightly separated. Arms up to the ceiling. When you exhale, reach your arms overhead about halfway towards the floor. When you breathe in, lift your arms above your chest and just like momentarily pause to go, neutral scapula on my ribcage. Now, when you start to curl up, we're going to reach those arms forward so they protract slightly like you did in the ab prep, and you're going to round forward over your legs. So when you start rolling back, you want your pelvis to move first. So right, I'm still flexed in the upper body, still have that protraction. But now, once my ribs start to come down, I can pull those shoulder blades back to flat and reach the arms overhead. So inhale, arms come up. We have stability in the shoulder blades. Then we do the head nod, so the neck and head follow the movement. You're going to imprint and increase the flexion of your lower spine to come into your C shape and dive towards your legs. Inhale breath, start to roll back. Keep pushing energy out your heel. That activates the back of the legs to help you move. Reach overhead. Inhale, arms up. Use that exhale to slide the ribs towards the hips, tuck up your pubic bone, keep that C shape round towards your legs. So as you roll back, the hip flexors are working as they get longer. What I was cueing before was to encourage the glutes to help tuck. That's what the energy off the heel does. And then reach overhead. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, nod the chin, flex forward, and take that reach again. Roll back your hips. Reach overhead. Inhale up, and then nod, curl forward, up and over, roll it back, and reach overhead. We're just going up one more time. Arms to the ceiling, nod your chin, flex forward, reach towards your legs, and then sit up nice and tall. All right. Double stack your legs. I'm going to get you into a side bend. Spread your fingertips apart and line up your hand with your knees. When you exhale, we're going to shift the ribs over, lift your hips up, and make a rainbow shape. And then as you inhale, you're going to come back down. So we're going to start with 3 like that if you were wanting more than this. This is we all do it together, so we get the shoulder blade and that sense of pushing up and creating that rounded shape and coming down. And then my intention is to do 3 more in a I was saying, in a bigger side bend. So if you don't want to do the big side bend, just stay with this and do 3 more reps. If you'd like to switch to the bigger side bend, you might need a little more room if you have long legs. You're going to turn your top knee up and put your heel into the other foot. Now when you exhale, you're going to straighten your legs as you lift your hips and squeeze your inner thighs together so you get that bigger rainbow shape, and then lower back down. Don't lose the initiation though. That shoulder has to drop, your ribs have to shift over, head falls as you side bend, and then lower back down. One more time, we're going to go up and over, allow your head to fall, and then land it back down. All right, swing your legs over to the other side. Whoopsie, back to the first version, no matter what you want to do. Okay, spread the fingers apart, turn your palm up. Here we go. Slide that shoulder down, lift your hips. You want active inner thighs in this version too. And then inhale, come down with control. What I love about this exercise, you get such a nice side body stretch when you're up in it, but this coming down with control is so great to strengthen all the muscles around your shoulder blade that we've been talking about today. Because here's another big upward and downward rotation movement. Okay, now turn that top knee out if you're switching to the other one. Your hands got to be even with your feet so you can adjust there. Top hand on your knee. Squeeze your glutes. Lift your hips. Give me a rainbow. Inhale, come on back down. Let those knees turn out. And again, exhale, up and over to side bend. Inhale as you return. And just one more time. Big reaching. And lower back down again. All right, let's stand up to finish, which also lets me, yes, okay, he's not here yet. All right, I want to play around just with a few more movements, some leg stuff, then I'll get you one more spinal movement to cool you down. All right, so we're going to start out just with your good old side lunge, except today I'd like you to place your hands behind your head with that slight forward elbow again. So I'm going to step out to the side, and I'm going to give you two options. Let's all do it this way, just a tap in first, and then wide. And so you just feel where the weight of your body is going back and forth. Okay, but if you want it harder, you're going down the same way, and you're picking your leg up, I don't care how high, balancing on one foot. So I'm going down and in. For today's version, I'd encourage you to explore some version of that, even if your foot's just barely off the ground, because I want to add a rotation to this movement soon. So now, reach your arms forward, and then I'm going to have you pull them in and twist. So it's a forward push, a pull back, and rotate to that leg. I'm going to go back to the tapping version to show you. Reaching, pulling, reaching, pulling. Let's do two more. And last one. All right. Wiggle over if you need to. Take it back to the top, just stepping it in first. Over and in. I always go too hard on this exercise. I get so freaking out of breath. All right, as much as you want or as little as you want, just get that balance system going. Add the twist. You're gonna reach. You're gonna pull in and turn. Spreading the blades, pulling them together. Let's go for 3. Pull it in. 2 and 1. All right. Last but not least, I'm going to turn sideways to you. Feet still parallel, hip width apart. Lace your fingers together. Hands start on your chest. When you exhale, you're going to flex your spine, bend your knees, turn your palms over, reach your palms towards the wall. Inhale, back into your chest, look up at the ceiling. And exhale, flex your spine, weight in your heels, curl down. Inhale to lift back up. Exhale, flex forward. Inhale, fill with that air right into your heart where you're touching yourself. 2 more times, exhale, curl. Inhale, up. Last one. And then back up. We made it. He's still not here. It's 9:02, just by the way. All right, I'll see you later. Have a great week.